Alright guys, the truth to gaining as much muscle as possible. You know, the only three things that you need to build as much muscle as possible if you're natural is working out, which is your training, nutrition, which is what you're eating, and sleep, which is when you're resting. You know, if you're natural, there's not going to be some fucking scientific pill or secret muscle growth fucking maximizer that's going to make you as big as possible. You know, whenever you work out, what you need to be doing is doing it consistently, applying progressive overload, which means that every time you go to the gym, you're either getting stronger or doing more reps. Not necessarily every single week or every single workout, but over time that you're progressing, because that's whenever you make the muscle growth, whenever the muscle size needs to increase to take the demand of the new weight and pressures that you're putting on it. Number two, nutrition. You know, if you're wanting to build as much muscle as possible, and I mean as much muscle as possible, so you're not concerned if you put on fat or not, is you need to increase your overall caloric intake. Now, I'm not necessarily meaning eat shitty foods and fast foods and high fat foods, but just that the fact that you eat more of what you're currently eating and you increase your protein, your carbohydrates, your fats, etc. You know, the body, from what I've noticed and why it's mentioned so many times about bulking and putting on as much weight, is, you know, it's not the only way to put on muscle, but if your only aim is to put on as much muscle as possible, you need to be eating fuckloads. Let's be honest, if you really want to get big, you need to be eating so much, because all that food is going to fuel your muscles and go into building muscle. Now, if you eat too much, you're going to look like a fucking pear and be really fat and shit. But if you eat the amount and you keep increasing it slowly, but to the extent where you're building as much muscle as possible and as little fat as possible, that's how you're going to gain the weight, that's how you're going to get the size. And tip three, which is sleep. You know, sleep is one of those things which is kind of, you know, ignored amongst the fitness community, and you know it's not going to be the key factor in building muscle. Now, obviously you need to sleep to a certain extent, but you know, a lack of sleep isn't going to affect your muscle size compared to a lack of training. You know, training and nutrition are the two key ones that you need to build muscle. If you're not eating enough, you're not going to get the nutrients to build the muscle. If you're not training enough, you're not going to put the demand on the muscle to grow in size. But still, tip number three is sleep. You still need sleep. Whenever you're sleeping, that's whenever the muscle repairs. Thus, that's how it gets bigger, because as everyone already knows, and if you don't, you should know, is that whenever you train, you actually tear the muscle fibers down, which to a minuscule extent makes the muscle smaller just at that time, and then the recovery process then makes the muscle bigger as it realizes it needs to grow in size to be able to deal with the workouts and the intensity and the pressures that actually go on the muscle during the training. So there's no fucking secret pill that is going to make you build as much muscle as possible, unless one of the side effects is it makes your fucking balls shrink, and that's not one of the options for a natural athlete. You know, if you're wanting to go take steroids, you know, that's fair enough, but that's obviously not going to be for a natural bodybuilder, which is what this video was directed towards. So, muscles!